whispered logic puzzles. Thank you for joining me. I'm Andrea, and I'm going to play through a Sudoku game on paper. In Sudoku, each row has the digits between 1 and 9 with no duplicates. Each column has the digits between 1 and 9 with no duplicates. And each 3 by 3 square with the more solid border has the digits 1 through 9 with no duplicates. So I like to, in the beginning, start chronologically. So first I look at ones. Okay, in this row I have a 1. In this row I have a 1. And in this column I have a 1. So up here, there's my 1. Okay, down here I have a 1 in this column and a 1 in this column. So here's my 1. And now I can come over here because I have a 1 in this row, and a 1 in this row, and a 1 in this column. So here's a 1. And I actually have all my 1s. Okay, so let's look at 2s. And starting right up in this square, say I have a 2 in this column, and a 2 in this column. So here's my 2. And 2. 2. Down here, I have a 2 in this column and a 2 in this row. So here's my 2. And over here, I have a 2 in this row and a 2 in this row. So here's my 2. And then we'll go to this square where I have a 2 in this row and a 2 in this row and a 2 in this column. So here's my 2. And okay. So now I'll look at 3s. 3. I have a 3 there and a 3 here and a 3 here. Okay, so up here in this square, I have a 3 in this column, and I have a 3 in this column, and I have a 3 in this row. So here is a 3. Okay, let's look at 4. Over here, I have a 4 in this row and a 4 in this column, so here's my 4. And okay, so if I look right here, I have a 4 in this row and a 4 in this column, which means this or this will be a 4, which means I can extend it over here. I know there's a 4 in this row and a 4 in this row. So there's my 4 up there. Now I'll come down here. I have a 4 in this row, and I have a 4 in this row, and there's a 4 in this column. So here's a 4. Okay. Now I'll look at 5. Okay, I have something similar here. If I bring this 5 across, I know that one of these two will be a 5. So I have a 5 in this row, and I have a 5 in this row, and a 5 in this column. So here is a 5. And see, let's will have to be here or here, meaning I'll have an 8 in this column and this column. Then I have an 8 in this row. So here's my 8 here. Okay, let's look at 9s. There's a 9. Well, we'll start right down here. There's a 9 in this column and a 9 in this row. So here is my 9 there. And okay. All right, another thing. I noticed in this row, there's a 9 in this column, a 9 in this column, and a 9 in this column. So for this row, the 9 has to be right there. 9. Okay, so I'll kind of start over again, looking through. I do have all my 1s. So let's see on 2. Okay, if I look right in here, I have a 2 in this row, I have a 2 in this column, and I have a 2 in this column. So here's a 2. And if I come over here, I have a 2 in this row, and I have a 2 in this row. So here's a 2, 2. Okay, I have all of my 2s done now. So let's look at 3. And a 3 here, and a 3 here, a 3 here, a 3 here. Okay, if I come over here, I have a 3 in this row. I have a 3 in this column. So this or this will be 3. But that means there's a 3 in this column, so I don't have a 3 in one of these. So this is my 3. And now if I come over here, I've got a 3 in this row. I have a 3 in this row. So this is my 3. Bring it up here. I have a 3 in this column. I have a 3 in this row. So this is my 3. And now let's look at 4. So you have a 4 there, a 4 there, 4, 4. Okay, if I come down here, I have a 4 in this column and a 4 in this column. So here's my 4. If I come over here, I have a 4 in this row. So one of these two will be a 4. So there's a 4 in this column, and a 4 in this column, and a 4 in this row. So here's a 4. Okay. I'm going to look at 5s. Do you have a 5? A 5. Okay, first I'm going to glance over here because I have a 5 in this row, which means one of these two will be a 5. So this column has a 5. This row has a 5. So here's my 5. And I bring that down here, there's a 5 in this column. So here's this 5. If I bring it over here, there's a 5 in this row and a 5 in this column, so one of these two will be a 5. That means there's a 5 in this row and a 5 this row, and a 5 in this column. So this is a 5. Okay. Before I move on to 6, I'm just going to say, go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm just going to put a 7 since there's only one digit left. I just wanted to finish that one. Okay, so now we'll look at 6s. Okay, there's a 6 in this row. That means one of these two will be a 6. So now there's a 6 in this row, which means here's my 6 here. And to finish off this square, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's 7. And since there's only one left, let's do this column. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I don't have a 6. I have 7, 8, 9. Okay. So let's do this row. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And this would be a 7. Okay, and let's see. So 6s. Going there. Alright. For 7s in this square, I've got a 7 in this row. So here's my 7. Then moving over here, I've got a 7 in this row. So here's my 7. So now there's only one left in this square, so I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This is a 9. Okay, so let's look at the 7 some more. Over here, I have a 7 in this row. I have a 7 in this row and a 7 in this column. So there's my 7. Then if I come up here, I have a 7 in this column and a 7 in this row. So here's my 7. And I now have all my 7s done. Alright, let's look at 8. Up here, I have an 8 in this column and an 8 in this column. So here's an 8. Over here now I have an 8 in this row. So here's an 8. And to finish this square I have 1, 2, 3, 4. This is my 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay. 8. I think I have all my 8s done now. Let's look at 9. Okay. Alright, in this square, there's a 9 in this column. So this is a 9. Then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Put a 6 here, that's 7, 8, 9. Up here now I have a 9 in this column. there's a 3 in this row, so this is a 3. And then 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And we're on to the last square. I have 1, 2. So 3 in this row and a 3 in this row. So this is the 3. Then there's a 4 in this row. So this is the 4. I have 5. And here's a 6 for the last digit. Then 7, 8, 9. So there we go. Completed the puzzle. Let's go ahead and look at the next puzzle. Right on the page. Okay. And we'll go ahead and start this one up. Again, I start with the 1s. And right off the bat, I notice there's a 1 in this column. So one of these will be a 1. Which means there's a 1 in this row. There's a 1 in this row. So this is a 1. Okay. I don't see any other ones that I can do. Let's look at 2. I've got a 2 in this row. 2 in this column. 2. Yeah, I don't think I can do much with the 2s yet. Let's see, I'm 3. If I put 3 over 3. Okay. I can't narrow down the 3s yet. Let's look at 4. I have a 4 and a 4. So one of these is a 4. There's a 4 in that column. Okay. Let's do 5. So 5. Okay, and here I have a 5 in this column and a 5 in this column. So here's my 5. Okay, let's look at 6. And over here, okay. I'll look at 7s. Got a 7 here, 7. These will be 7. Right. We'll look at 8. Alright, and here I've got an 8 in this row. So one of these two will be an 8. So over here, I've got an 8 in this row and an 8 in this row. So here's my 8. There. Okay, 9. 9. And here, I have a 9 in this row. So this is a 9. 9. Okay, down here, I have a 9 in this column. I have a 9 in this row. So this one or this one will be a 9. So this row has a 9. And this row has a 9. Then this column has a 9 and this column has a 9. So there's my 9. Okay. Alright. I just noticed this row is almost complete, so I have 1. This will be a 2. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay. So I'll go back and kind of look. Let's see, 1s. 1, 1, 1. sixes go, there's a 6 over here. So this is a 6. And then I don't have a 7, so there's my 7, 8, 9. 2, 3, 4. These are either 2 or 4. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. One of these is a 6, but there's a 6 in this column, so this is the 6. Then I have 7, and then there's the 8, 9. Over here, one of these is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And one of these is a 7. Go ahead and write some of these in. So this is either a 2 or a 4. 2 or a 4. And over here is either a 1 or a 7. 1 or a 7. Okay. Let's see, this is 1. Okay, in this column there's 1. And I don't have a 2, but there's a 2 in this square, so this is the 2 up here. And there's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So these are 8 and 9. There's a 9 in this row, so this is the 9. And this is 8. 1, 2, 3, 0 here. 4, 5, 6, 7 is one of these. Alright, up here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, there's an 8 in this row and an 8 in this column. So here's my 8 here. Then one of these is a 9. Okay. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 0, 1, 2. Okay, over here, there's a 2 in this row, which means one of these will be a 2. So now pulling that down, there's a 2 in this column. There's a 2 in this row, and a 2 in this row. So here's my 2. That means that this is a 4. So here's my 4. And this is a 2. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7. Okay, so in this column, any of these 3 could be a 1. Then I have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. A 7, there's a 7 on this square, so one of these is a 7. And then 8, there's an 8 in the square, so one of these is an 8. Which means this is the 1, and these are either 7 or 8. But there's an 8 in this row, so here's the 8, and here's the 7. And I'm going to take 8s over here now. There's an 8 in this row and an 8 in this row. So here's an 8. You can bring that up to there and say there's an 8 in this there's a 6 in this row. So here's my 6. Let's go back 1, 2. So here's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. This column I now have 1, 2, 3, and 4. It's right up here. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. One of these is a 6. There's a 6 in this row, so this is the 6. And now I go back to 1. I don't have the 2. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay. This row 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This can't be a 6 because there's a 6 there, so here's the 6. That's 7, 8, and 9. 2. This is a 3. And if I move down here, I can find out. So down here, there's a 3 in this row. This is a 3. So bring it up. That means this is the 3 here. So now I have 1, 2, 3. This is 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And here's 1, 2, 3. Here's the 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, 1, 2, 3. So 4 in this column and a 4 in this row. So here's a 4. And there's a 5 in this row. So this is the 5. Then 6. And this will be 7, 8, 9. So this is a 7. This is a 1. So put a 1 right here. And that means this is a 7. Okay. Let's come up to this square. I have a 1 in this column, and a 1 in this column, and a 1 in this row. So here's my 1. And then there's a 2 in this column, and a 2 in this column, and a 2 in this row.